70,000 households all changing apartments on the same day means a lot of trash left behind. And if you're an opportunistic curbside scavenger like myself, you clear your calendars and take to the road for some excellent trash trawling opportunities. Hello friends, and welcome back. I'm Shannon Makes, ruthless dumpster diver and chronic repurposer by day, circus artist by night. And every year, while the rest of the country celebrates Canada Day, thousands of Montrealers pack their belongings into boxes and coerce friends and family into helping them set up residence in a new apartment. But one side effect of the mass relocation is that the streets just fill with personal belongings and furnishings that just didn't make the cut. And every year, at least while I'm at home, I take the whole day off and spend it walking, biking, and driving through the Lollapalooza for a full day of waste archaeology. I'll dive a bit more into the whole phenomenon of moving day a little later, explain what it is, why it is, and how it began. But for now, let's just jump right in, shall we? So moving day isn't until tomorrow, which is July 1st, but already yesterday while I was out walking Canal, I saw plenty of piles on the sidewalk that were clearly people cleaning out in anticipation of moving. Plus, not everybody moves on the 1st. It's the whole weekend is just full of people moving. Some people try to beat the wave. Some people try and wait till the 2nd or 3rd to move. So it's just a whole week of craziness, Lollapalooza of people changing apartments. So I thought it would be maybe a good idea, especially because today is absolutely gorgeous weather out and tomorrow it looks like it's probably going to be rainy and overcast. Thought today would be a great day to hop on the bike and go around the city and see what I could find, take advantage of the great weather, show you guys some of the chaos of people moving around, and see if we can find any treasures on the side of the road. But first things first, let's get some sunscreen on this pasty white face. It might not be cool, but neither is skin cancer. Also, I realize some of you probably are interested in what I actually found yesterday, even though I wasn't prepared to be picking stuff up the street, so I didn't take that much, but here's a quick look at what I found already just yesterday. A pair of practically new flip-flops, a food scale still in its original packaging, and some IKEA drawer inserts which I immediately put to use in my sewing table. I'm always a sucker for some jewel-toned velvet, which I know gives some of you the textural heebie-jeebies, but it doesn't bother me and I actually kind of enjoy the texture. This one was clearly full of synthetic fibers on the inside, so it's probably not going to be used directly against my skin, but there are still plenty of lovely things I could make with it, so I grabbed the 2 largest cushion covers, making sure to put the stuffing back neatly into the bag, because I figured the garbage collectors already have a hard enough job without me making more of a mess. So how many people are actually moving on moving day? Well, these stats date to 2018, so the numbers are even higher now, but the most reliable data I found said that across the province, roughly 250,000 households move on July 1st, with 70,000 of them being within the city of Montreal. So why are so many people moving every year? Well, a few factors. First of all, the city has the lowest home ownership rate in the country, so a majority of households are being rented, but also we have housing laws that are very tenant-friendly and widespread rent control, which contribute to an atmosphere where housing is seen as a little bit less of a commodity than similar larger cities like New York, where couples have been known to stay together purely to keep their apartment. And with all that chaos, a lot of people leave old or unwanted furniture, belongings, and appliances just sitting out on the street rather than trying to dispose of it properly. Renters Marie Kondo their way through their entire possessions in an attempt to save time and moving boxes and anything that doesn't spark joy. ends up on the curb in the days immediately surrounding July 1st. A giant headache for the municipality, but a boon for treasure hunters like myself. Okay, these are not technically part of moving day, but I swear these little free libraries do get more full on the days leading up to July 1st, and I'm always looking for new titles. This garbage heap included 4 perfectly good, near mint condition IKEA curtains, plus all their hardware, which I guarantee I'll put to good use. These were jammed in my backpack, then it was back on the road, and I got to this next pile right before the garbage men did, so the footage is a bit rushed, but I found this orange arched floor lamp, which honestly I would have loved to have in my living room, but I just didn't have a way to get it back home, especially because it weighs a ton, as you can hear the garbage man discover right about now.
Oh shit!
Then it was back on the road, dodging the city's construction and looking for the next pile. Moving day may technically be July 1st, but preparations can start as much as 6 months in advance. With so many people changing apartments on the same days, truck rental agencies and moving companies often double and even triple their prices, and they book up fast. So it's not unusual to reserve your U-Haul up to a half a year in advance. One source I read said that July 1st can account for 15% of a moving company's annual revenue. Just in that one day. People who can't get a truck or don't want to pay hefty fees find other creative ways to move their stuff, from borrowing friends' cars to building homemade trailers pulled by bikes. And while it's one thing to hang on to a few extra books or knickknacks that you're on the fence about keeping, nobody wants to be hauling a ratty sofa or an old oven up a few extra flights of stairs if they're just gonna replace it in a few weeks, so the streets fill up not just with smaller items, but with mattresses, kitchen appliances, and all sorts of furniture. Sometimes they're really ratty couches that were clearly on their last leg, and moving day just provided the perfect excuse to dump them, but others, like this green one, are in pretty good shape, still with a lot of life left in them, and maybe just didn't fit in the new apartment. These people were kind enough to leave a sign confirming that everything here was to give away, which is nice for so many reasons, not the least of which being bed bugs. I feel like bed bugs are common in so many big cities. I know it's not just Montreal that struggles with them, and if you too make a habit of digging through street finds, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the signs of this persistent pest, because while some people are nice enough to label anything that has bed bugs, not everyone is so thoughtful. If you want to learn more about these critters than you ever thought you'd need to know, Mark Roper has a great video on them that's equal parts disturbing and fascinating. I'll link it in the description, but beware, it's not for the faint of heart. Okay, back to that sofa. So of course, this box caught my eye, and it turned out to be a box of sewing machine cams. Although I'm not sure what model it's for, and my current singer doesn't take them, but I grabbed it anyways, figuring that this would probably end up in the garbage otherwise. Most Montrealers to explain moving day, and you'll probably get the same basic spiel. A vast majority of leases start and finish on July 1st, and that's just the way it's always been, so that's when everyone moves. Some will, only half-jokingly, tell you that it's a good excuse to avoid celebrating Canada Day. But separationist politics aside, if you look into the history of the tradition, it actually goes back a lot farther than you might expect. The tradition actually started as a law, and it seems to have begun as a humanitarian measure by the French colonial government to prevent the feudal landlords of the time from evicting their tenant farmers before the winter snows had melted. Many people point to a bylaw written in 1750 as the official start of moving day, although back then the date was May 1st, since French law in the 18th century had apparently set May 1st as the starting date for all legal agreements, including leases. The date became part of the Quebec Civil Code in 1866, and it wasn't until the 1970s that the Quebec government allowed landlords and tenants to start and end leases on any date, and many sources suggest that the government then also moved all the existing leases to July 1st because too many children were being pulled out of school to help their parents move. So, since 1973, moving day has ceased to be a law, but has nevertheless carried on as a tradition. So what does that mean, practically speaking? Well, for one thing, it means that in the days and weeks leading up to July 1st, nearly 50,000 tons of garbage and discarded household items make their way to the curb for city pickup.
Mattresses, couches, items big and small. The city's blue-collar workers are busy hauling away the mountains of curbside trash left behind in the post-moving day aftermath.
Everything from appliances to couches to Christmas trees can be found lining the streets, and while the city urges residents to sort their trash, recycle as much as possible, and dispose of the rest properly, the streets still seem to be littered with stuff every 1st of July.
With the help of bulldozers and dump trucks, the cleanup operation will take over 2 weeks, according to the city, and see the removal of an estimated 50,000 tons of discarded materials.
Nice.
Well, that was pretty darn successful. I am quite happy with so many of the things that I found. A lot of great fabric finds, also that fun Singer box, which I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm definitely going to be digging in it more. I decided that I was going to take a little break, call it quits for the moment, because it is quite hot out, and as you can maybe see, I am very sweaty and flushed. So going to take a short little break and then maybe go out again a little bit later once the sun is past its zenith and do a round 2. But in the meantime, I am first of all going to pour myself a cool drink, and then I am going to take all of the linens and fabric items that I found and throw them in the hottest wash my machine is capable of doing. The event is so well known that IKEA even developed a marketing initiative specifically for the city, which involved, among other things, some, let's say, culturally specific billboards, as well as a special branded truck that drove through the city distributing thousands of free moving boxes in the days leading up to July 1st. Montreal is the city of spiral staircases, and it's not unusual to see people struggling to haul their appliances, refrigerators and dryers included, up multiple flights of narrow, spiraling exterior flights of stairs. Now, I personally have only moved once in the city, and it was in mid-August, so I consider myself lucky for skipping out on most of the moving day chaos, but we could still be seen carrying all of our appliances up to our 3rd floor apartment, an experience I'm not in a rush to repeat. All right, friends, well, different outfit, same day, I promise. Honestly, the number of times I change my outfit on any given summer day is borderline ridiculous, but we are still Friday, moving day is still tomorrow, and gonna head out for round 2 in just a second, but I did want to give you a quick update on the red velvet and how that washed up, because I always get a little bit nervous washing velvet, but at the same time, if I'm bringing fabric into my house from the literal street, you better bet I'm gonna wash it. And if it doesn't wash up well, I'm just not gonna keep it. But it washed up beautifully. The nap is still looking gorgeous. It's such a fun color. I'm super excited about this. Everything else is in the dryer right now. I don't know if you can maybe hear it in the background. Everything else is drying. This is not gonna go in the dryer. This is going to get hung up to dry, and then Gonna head out and see if we can find more fun things on the street. The second outing of the day brought more discarded treasures, some small and others very, very big, but I try not to take something unless I'm actually going to use it, so in the end, most things got left for the next lucky curbside cruiser.
She started it!
Oh my god, she did! Go get it! Go get it!
Okay, well, that wasn't quite as successful as the first run earlier today, but I did not come back empty-handed. I managed to find a candle. That's right, one candle. That's all I found on this trip here, but you know, that's just how it goes. You can't always find a ton of amazing things, but we had fun anyway. We gave the dog some exercise, played in some water, had a great time, saw this lovely city, and we're just gonna try again tomorrow. So that's all for today, and let's keep our fingers crossed that tomorrow is gonna be a really fun adventure. All right, friends, as you can probably tell, it is looking like a lovely day out today. I am super excited. Now, it does say on the forecast that it is going to start to rain potentially a little bit later, but even then it's only like 30%. So definitely going to finish up my coffee, get out of my pajamas, fix this hair, and then get on the road and see what we can find, because today is moving day. Moving day. Moving day. Oh, hello, Canal. Hello. Okay. So this is a pretty typical moving day find. Boxes filled with miscellaneous household goods that are still in decent shape and have just outlived their use in their current home, but whose owner recognizes their value to others, and so they just put the things in the box on the curb. I ended up taking a few nice frames, some plates and bowls, and a coffee machine. With my coffee finished and my bag heavy with the picture frames, I headed back home, dropped off Canal, and hopped back on the bike in order to cover more ground on the chaos that is moving day. So I spent the morning biking around the city, documenting the chaos, and keeping my eye out for discarded treasures, which included this pile of IKEA closet racks. Now, if you were around on the channel for my dumpster diving last summer, you'll know that I always carry a basic toolkit around with me, and that stood me in good stead as it allowed me to quickly disassemble 2 of the 4 racks, although in this case the owners were actually still home and they even asked me if I needed any help or tools. I'm sorry to report that the rest of the day was mostly a bust. Phil came over a bit later and we decided to cruise the town in the car in order to stay dry, and while we did stumble across one absolute jackpot of a pile full of home improvement supplies, that was the only useful or dry treasure of the second half of the day, and after a few hours we called it quits. And here comes the best part, looking at all the treasure I found. Now, unfortunately, I actually left town on July 2nd, so I didn't get a chance to walk the streets in the days following moving day because those are often equally good days to find things as people continue to move, get settled, discover that finally they don't have as much room in their new apartment as they thought, or maybe they just finally decided they didn't really need 3 vegetable steamers. So this is just a quick look at what I got from June 30th and July 1st, and keep in mind it's also only what I could carry home on the bike and what I could actively put to use. All the big furniture got left behind, no matter how much I wanted that lovely green couch. All the appliances, big and small, and even most of the small house goods. I really tried to only take what I thought I could really use because I guarantee I'm not the only one out there looking for curbside treasures, so if I can't use it, someone else probably will. So let's take a look at what I got. One pile was clearly discarded by an athlete because there was a ton of useful tape and bandages. Another pile yielded all the kitchenware, including some plates and bowls and a nice cutting board. I found a good selection of frames for my gallery wall, one of which has an actual canvas in it that's really pretty cute. The best rainy day find was definitely the pile that had all these renovation materials, most of which were in really good shape and will definitely be put to good use in the coming months. There was a great selection of books, and I haven't read any of these, so I don't know if they're any good, but I look forward to finding out. There were so many linens of various kinds, although the best ones were definitely the IKEA curtains and the mostly hand-sewn quilt that is absolutely gorgeous. In sewing related finds, there was the box of cams, some brand new pins, and a really cute roll of trim, not to mention the red velvet, which as it turns out is a perfect match for this vintage train case should I ever need to replace the lining. And as a side note, I can't believe I found this train case. I have a similar one at my parents' place and it acts as my traveling sewing kit when I'm there. You can actually see it in some of the shots from my house coat video, and while they're not prohibitively expensive, I think they're generally about 30 or 40 bucks on eBay, and they're kind of hard to find, so very cool. Other miscellaneous finds include a bunch of matching hangers, a lamp cord, a toaster, the coffee machine, the clothes racks, an umbrella, a bike pump, and this IKEA metal shelf divider, which I find super handy for additional sorting in my sewing table. Now, I know some of my viewers are from Montreal, so if that's you, sound off in the comments if you also went out on moving day, and if you found anything really good, be sure to let us know. If you're not from Montreal, let me know if you were here. Would you be going out on the streets too, hunting for treasure, or do you prefer to steer clear of all the chaos? If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like this one as well for a fun comparison of dumpster diving in Montreal versus Copenhagen, or you could consider this one from last summer where I rounded up all the supplies for my sewing table. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!